Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Spy Family, Season 3.
Spy Family, Season 3, Episode 11. Welcome back to the Dojo. I'm Ryu. Sage, we're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo, and because of dub scheduling and stuff, we've missed a couple things the last couple weeks because there has been no dub. So I've mentioned that before. If there's no dub, we just don't do it. And since it was the end of the year and beginning of the year stuff, that's how it is. We're waiting on dubs for the next season of stuff that we're doing anyway. So even if the schedule gets a little borked here at the end, it doesn't matter because we'd be waiting anyway. So it is what it is. Spy Family does have 3 more episodes left, this one included. So 11, 12, and 13. So Spy Family might be like an extra thing if we do start the next set of shows before on the same week as like episode 13 if Spy Family comes out in 2 weeks from now. Or Spy Family will be on its own 1 week because that's going to be the last thing, and then hopefully the week after that we'll be able to start all the other 4 shows, which so far the only dub that has come out has been Fire Force, but we're still waiting on Frieren, Jujutsu Kaisen, and MF Ghost for the other 3 shows, so we got time. So we'll be wrapping up Gachi Kuda next week hopefully, and MHA had already wrapped up, and we wrapped up Campfire Cooking on Friday. So yeah, but either way, we have the new set of shows lined up for the new year. We have to do the has-been thing that we've been talking about, the year in review from last year thing that I was talking about doing, and so we got some other stuff that we can slot in for whatever, and all the stuff that we want to do this year as well, like Hitman content, stuff like that, the elusive targets with Madhouse, that kind of thing will be going on as well, just to kind of mix it up. And hopefully we can get a couple like random gaming news and just like thoughts on things when we have like downtime and whatnot. So we have all kinds of stuff going on, and we'll talk about that in our new intro video that we will also be putting out here in the next week or 2. So either way, as for Spy Family, we had the Your Meter last time. That was great. All the other like new skit stuff going on, and it seems like we are going to be headed into a situation with progressing the main story, which a lot of people are complaining about, and that was something I was going to talk about the end of the series, not the end of the series, but the end of the season. Is a lot of people, I saw a lot of people complaining that like not a lot happens in Spy Family, main story wise. This isn't a show where there's going to be a boss after Desmond. If Twilight or Lloyd, however you want to call him, we'll just call him Lloyd, if he got to Desmond in like 3 episodes, there'd be no reason for the character development of Anya and Yor because he would just bail and have no attachment to them. There has to be enough time spent with them to warrant him like actually potentially falling in love with Yor and wanting to be Anya's dad beyond the mission. That's the whole point of this. There's no thing after Desmond that he has to keep the family around for. So there has to be a reasonable amount of time, and it has not even been like 4 or 5 months so far. He needs like bare minimum, I'd say at least a year. And the feelings are getting there slowly. There have been, sparks of like actual feeling of being a dad and an actual husband and stuff like that. But it needs time to develop. And the overarching like serious story is always going to be secondary to the slice of life getting Lloyd to be like the dad and father for real. You know what I mean? That's the real story. Yeah. And there's going to be far more slice of life stuff than getting the Desmond thing done, because once again, if he gets the Desmond thing done too fast, he'd be gone and be over. So it's a unique story in that case. So for the people complaining that there isn't enough story progression, there is. It's just you're looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, we either need more development on the family dynamic, so that way, once again, Lloyd either has enough investment to keep the family going even after the mission's over, or we need to set up some other goal after Desmond to keep the mission going once Desmond is dealt with.
Yep. So that's just something to point out for people that are like questioning the pacing and the main story. It's like the main story is the family stuff, not the Desmond stuff, because if he just derps into something that takes care of the Desmond thing, then anybody who knows story writing would be like, well, then he's just going to bail, right? And there'd be no reason. If he doesn't have the attachment, then it'd be really weird if he just like, took care of Desmond and was like, I just want to be a dad now. It's like, why? You have like 0 attachment to them. Why would you do this? You know what I mean? So that actual real life attachment needs to be formed for Lloyd, and based on his past and stuff like that, it's going to take a little bit longer than probably the average person as well, especially since he's also a spy. So, you know, there might be those people that can just step into that stepdad role and new husband role immediately, but this isn't that. It's not like he's been dating Yor for the dating purpose. It's, you know, the false marriage for the cover story. So completely different situation than like dating a single mom or dating a single dad and stepping into that stepmom or stepdad role eventually. You know what I mean? So
that's what Yor thinks she's doing.
Yeah, that's what she thinks she's doing. So either way, it's just that's something to think about, and to clear up any confusion on that that's why the story is going quote unquote slower, but it's more of a slice of life series than a spy thriller. That's like the like extra bacon bits on the slice of life stuff that makes it a unique story. So anyway, that being said, we're gonna go ahead and push some buttons, see what's up with this week. The last 3 episodes are probably like their own like you know, mini arc based on whatever's going on with Yuri and whatnot. So yeah, so people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the timer reaction, and people on YouTube, we'll see you on the other side for the discussion and review. So push some buttons and get going. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. I guess Yuri just doesn't knock anymore. He probably has his own key, let's be real. It's, you know, he's Yuri, he's just gonna burst through doors, but I guess to be fair, Anya and Becky and Margaret just left. But, you know, just Yuri things, and Yor was still a little drunk from the previous night, obviously, and still looking for things to gripe about, which, keeping it vague, yeah, everything is vague, but it's also everything. You know what I mean? There's like, I have a problem with your cooking or whatever. Not just like, I don't like your hamburger or I don't like your rice dish or whatever. Cooking is vague enough. You know what I mean? But everything is not vague. It's very specific still. It means literally everything is wrong. So not really vague, just absolute disaster territory. So, you know, I mentioned it during the episode there, and we talked about this last time, and I don't really want to rehash any of that because that discussion just... But it was something that needed to be talked about for what was going on in the show and stuff. But again, there are relationships that absolutely can be just fine with no gripes.
Yeah.
Or gripes that are like, oh yeah, there was that one time there was that weekend where my husband was like, you know, sanding something for the car or something, or, you know, whatever, for like 8 hours straight, and the noise was grating on me. You know, like one-off things. You know, like, oh, he had to paint the room or whatever, and he used the wrong paint, and it smelled for like 3 weeks. You know, whatever. Stuff that eventually doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? Because you're not like sanding your car every week or painting a room, or, you know, just like one-off, like once in a year things or once in every couple year things that just like don't matter. And if those are the gripes, then it doesn't really matter. And there can absolutely be relationships that have like little to no gripes, or just like the occasional flare up of like, you know, you're in a bad mood, and then like, you know, your partner sneezes or something and just sets you off. You know what I mean? Just random nonsense like that. Like example. So it's just there can absolutely be relationships where it's just everything is 99% of the time fine, and then there's just like those one-off things. Not every single relationship has like the griping problem. You know what I mean? You can absolutely, just like you can have really bad relationships, there are very good relationships out there that are just fine. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Looking for stuff like just to be normal, quote unquote, is just like what her friends are stating as normal is like that like middle ground of like, you know, the relationship's pretty okay, but there are like gripes. You know what I mean? That aren't like relationship deal breakers. You know, like the sock thing we talked about, that's like a classic. But it's just, there are relationships on each end of the spectrum, and on the other end of the spectrum, which their relationship, even though it's fake, they have a solid fake relationship because it's still a real fake relationship. You know what I mean? Lloyd could absolutely be a total douche canoe all the time. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where the relationship that they have is real, but it's also fake, but it's also real. And Lloyd wouldn't be this is his character. Yes, he has to be a quote unquote good husband for, you know, the mission and whatnot, but he's not a gigantic douche outside of the mission. You know what I mean? He's not portraying a different character. He's not wearing a nice guy mask to be who he is. You know what I mean? So as for the relationship stuff, it's the relationship would be 100% fine. And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, again, just circle back around to everything we talked about last time, and the other people in your life, if they're not actively seeing 100% of the relationship that you have with somebody else, then their opinion is incredibly diminished and near irrelevant. You know what I mean? So when we talked about that last time, no need to rehash it. But, you know, either way, Yuri madness, the Yor stuff going on, just the weird problems that how each one of these characters perceives what's going on that it creates is pretty hilarious. Because with all the spy stuff going on and the clandestine nature of everything that's going on in this world right now, you immediately just go to like, well, what if it's like a spy related thing or like a, you know, whatever, because you have to think that, because there are a lot of people that, you know, have been picked up for suspicion of spying for this, that, or the other thing in this, because of the tense nature of the relationship between Astani and Westalis. So it's not something that's just like, oh, only these characters would think that. Plenty of other, like, quote-unquote normal people might go to that. It's like, well, what if this person is a spy? You know, what if they married me for this and that or whatever? And might have to look into it. So, you know, even with Yuri being a member of the State Security Service, Yor doesn't know that. That's one of those things where she does not know where he works. So
neither of them know each other's jobs. That's like the whole thing.
Yeah, neither of them know each other's jobs. So it's just like, you know, he's trying to not be as suspicious as he would be as a state security officer, but even the average person would still have pointed out most of these things that he did. And that's what he was trying to do, is not just be like too overbearing, but he's Yuri, so that's just kind of his like almost default state when Yor's involved. So, you know. But either way, the way the comedy rolled off this, you know, with just like everything that happened here, that was great. And then we rolled straight into what we were talking about at the end of the reaction. There was, you know, people were talking about not enough spy stuff. Well, here you go. It very much looks like the last 3 episodes of this season are going to be fairly serious spy stuff with mole-on-mole action, which the Westalis mole got captured based on what you would call... What would you even call this? Like, pretty general counterintelligence by the aviator guy. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty common kind of strategy where it's, if you know you have a mole, you give very specific information out to different people and see which information gets leaked.
Yep. So there you go, mole on mole action. And as per everything that was going on here, I think that what's going on there was, as they pointed out, was in this situation, as you can see, this guy is wearing a red gem on his pin. So that means this guy here is Lloyd. That's why he was able to ID everyone, because he knew who they were. It's like, okay, there's Fiona, there's this guy, there's the other guy, and we don't know where the actual Wheeler guy is, because this is Lloyd. It has to be Lloyd, right, at this point, based on the fact that he's wearing the yellow gem, because that was the information he got from the mole.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, was he came in with the mole's information, and it was only this guy here with the red gem who knew what the actual tie colors indicated, and that's why as soon as he saw him with the green and yellow, he immediately passed on the information of, okay, green and yellow's the leak.
Right. So there you go. Supreme spy stuff going on. What people were looking for, we talked about that. And yeah, I assume this is going to be the last 3 episodes dealing with this situation and how it could impact just everything that's going on. So solid spy stuff, nothing wrong with it. And then we got the classic, little vignette stuff here at the end with the stuff at the zoo, and I figured they would probably go here, especially when they showed off the supremely dangerous animal here. And I didn't say it during the reaction, but my thought was it's going to be like a person, right? Or they're going to have you to be able to walk into the cage like they did right there.
Yeah.
So pretty hilarious zoo skit for what it was. And Becky played the part well with losing her mind after the fact. So
Yeah, humans are in fact the most dangerous animal.
Indeed. So again, another solid episode for what it was. It looks like we're going to be getting a nice little wrap up to this season with some spy shenanigans, and that's good. So again, this show needs both of the things that we talked about to happen to progress the story. And if the spy stuff happens too quickly, then the end of the story would be Lloyd bails, and that's it. Do you guys want that ending? Because if you want that ending, then that is what it is. But that's the ending you would get if the spy stuff happened too quickly. You have to be able to form those bonds and those connections with the other characters. Otherwise, Lloyd would have no reason to stick around after the fact, which is what it seems to be looking toward. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, there are directions that they could take it to still have the mission end early, but it would require a whole lot of extra shenanigans.
Right, and all the extra information we've got on Desmond and and that family, especially this season with him being the former prime minister, I don't think that was something we got in season 1. So that's a huge bit of information. They made it just sound like he was a big time politician, which obviously he was and still is. But
it was randomly mentioned in the initial dossier on him that he was a former prime minister or whatever. But the biggest thing, was just that he's one of the biggest members of the pro-war party.
Yep.
And that they needed to keep tabs on him, and basically the long-term goal is to get in with him and try to basically change his mind to be anti-war instead of pro-war.
Right, which from everything we've got this season, that party is shunned pretty much because of what happened with what they were showing with his wife. She had to basically hide her appearance because everybody knew who she was, obviously, and knowing that she was associated with that party is considered a bad thing right now.
Yeah, he's the former prime minister, and he was pro-war, but now that the war is over and the new prime minister who's anti-war has taken over, the pro-war party is significantly diminished in their influence.
Yep. So
that's what we were seeing with this whole operation, even the whole thing of the current government with the anti-war prime minister and stuff like that didn't even give them the okay on doing this whole freaking covert op into Westalis.
Right. That in case anybody's wondering, that's what they were talking about. It's the higher ups don't know that we're doing this because they basically said they're pussies. You know what I mean? That's basically what they said. They're wusses. They're weak, so we're just doing this anyway.
Yeah, they couldn't get the okay to do this mission because this kind of high-level espionage is in of itself breeding conflict just by simply happening.
Yep. So we got spy stuff. I'm excited for that. That's good. And since I did land on it for a moment here, you guys, we have to see this again. You have to see this fantastic disguise change. Watch this right here. See that?
Yeah, he added a beard and made it a shade darker.
Yeah. It's so good. So the comedy, gotta appreciate it for what it is right there. That is fantastic. So either way, not really a huge amount more we can really say about the situation at the moment. We just gonna have to see how it develops, where the actual Wheeler is, that kind of thing. What happens with him, what's gonna go down here with some obviously major players. Yuri's here, Fiona's here, Lloyd's here, the rest of the since we started Gate last night, I wanted to call them the Defense Force, but they're the Secret Police that's here.
Wise versus Secret Police.
Yeah.
Presumably, either they managed to divert Wheeler to go somewhere else, or they might have already picked him up, and it could be a thing of like, now Lloyd is just trying to pass on false information and make it seem like they still got him.
Right.
Or I guess the third option, and I think probably the most likely option, because Fiona and them were all like wondering why Wheeler hadn't showed up, is it probably is the case of they sent Lloyd out to intercept the other agents early and were expecting to pick up Wheeler while Lloyd was off distracting them.
Right.
But Wheeler hasn't showed up yet.
Indeed. So somebody has better information right now. Information war is key. So anyway, that being said, another solid episode. Looking forward to more, obviously wrapping up with some spy stuff. It'll probably be, you know, like next episode full on spy stuff, and then the season finale will be like finishing up the spy stuff, and then like the aftermath, you know, that kind of situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this is Spy Family, Season 3, Episode 11. We got 2 more. This one goes to 13. And hopefully they'll come out the next 2 weeks and we'll be able to wrap it up. But if there's a missing spot again, we're just waiting on dubs regardless, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So it's really not a big deal. And if this wraps up early or late, it doesn't matter, because we're still waiting on 3 more dubs to even start. So there'd be the schedule would be spotty here regardless. So, you know, typical New Year stuff. This is like the 3rd or 4th New Year that we've had to deal with for this. So it's always the same, especially on the dub side, obviously. So, you know, it is what it is. So everybody have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.